Without further ado, our first speaker is Stephen Sylvester, who's going to tell us about Jupyter.
There's a lot to get through here because there's a lot of Jupyter. I'm Steve Sylvester, I work at JP Chase, but I'm here representing the Jupyter Steering Council. So this is our standard slide. You all know what Jupyter is. This is just for posterity. Some of the Jupyter community projects that are going around Jupyter that are building outside of the Jupyter organization are Interact, CoCalc, Hydrogen, Zeus, Papermill, BeagerX. These things all expand the reach of our community. So now on to the announcements. Jupyter Hub, if you haven't heard of it, is the best way to serve Jupyter notebooks for multiple users. It reached 1.0 this May, so kudos to that team. So the highlights of that release are you can have named servers, so a single user can have a server that's launched for their different aliases. I'm coming in as a student, I'm coming in as a teacher, I have multiple roles, I want different workspaces to go into. There's total internal encryption, so it's more secure. And then there's a concept of authorization refresh, so if you've onboarded a user, you can time them out so they're not logged in indefinitely. Binder Hub, you may have seen this launch binder link on GitHub in the past. It creates a custom computing environment that can be used by many remote users. So you can click on the link from anywhere and you have a working Jupyter instance. The service is now out of beta. There have been 2 million plus launches this year on mybinder.org. And if you see the slides later, there's a link to the blog post about it down there. Jupyter Enterprise Gateway is one of the tools that came out of our incubator, Jupyter Incubator project. It enables you to take your compute and run it on, say, a Spark instance. So you launch remote kernels in a distributed cluster, including Apache Spark, managed by the Yarn, not to be confused with the JavaScript Yarn, and the IBM Spectrum Conductor or Kubernetes. They also released 1.0 since the last SciPy conference, and 2.0 I think is in the RC phase right now, release candidate stage, which includes support for Kubernetes. Jupyter Lab, near and dear to my heart. I'm on the core team for that. Next generation web front end and successor to the notebook, the classic notebook. We are now in 1.0. We're announcing that. So you all are the first to hear that. So what that brings is full feature parity, we think. Let us know if it's not so. With the classic notebook, stable APIs for extension authors. So if you've been waiting because things have been changing real fast as an extension author, start building your extensions. So come on down. Governance model. The Jupyter team is actively working on a new governance model for Jupyter. We've sort of grown organically over time into a large steering council that's not really sustainable. There's 17 members roughly right now. It's hard to make decisions with that large of a group. So we're looking to be more inclusive of the community to expand that responsibility and involvement in the conduct of Jupyter outwards from those 17 original members. We're using lessons from other open projects like Mozilla and Rust, and there's a link down here to a discourse topic on soliciting feedback on what should this new governance model, what questions does it have to answer, and what should it provide. Community engagement. You may notice there was no JupyterCon this year, unfortunately. Just things didn't work out quite the way we'd like to, but if you read the blog post there, it goes into a little more detail about what happened, where we're at, where the future state is. So basically we're working on it, and there may not be one in 2019, but look to see what happens in 2020, so bear with us on that. But things are still going on a smaller level, so we still have Jupyter Days conferences taking place, smaller groups, single-day conference. Jupyter community workshops, examples include the dashboarding workshop recently in Paris. I can give a quick list if Jason sent it to me. Don't do live demos. Okay, some recent examples are an MB Grader workshop, high performance computing workshop, redesigning the Jupyter server for the new tenants that are using it, Python coding for kids, Python in South America, handbook for teaching with Jupyter, and the Hawaii Jupyter community. So all over the world, small workshops where we're focused on a particular issue or concern, and Jupyter as a common thread. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, we're using discourse now as a way to capture discussion and around Jupyter itself. So the thing sort of like Stack Overflow for Jupyter. Other cool tools that feed into Jupyter that are available are the tools around Zeus. One of the things they've recently made is a Python kernel using their Zeus protocol. So it's a C++ implementation of the Python kernel instead of the current Python one. And what that gives you is more flexibility. You can embed it in an event loop. So if you're running a Qt application, you can embed a Python kernel into that. It also enables us to do remote debugging. So stay tuned for that. You'll hopefully be getting remote debugging in Jupyter soon using some of the things coming out of this project. The Paper Mill project is something that came out of the Interact organization. It allows you to parameterize and then execute your notebooks. So you have the first couple of your cells, you define parameters that you'd like to change, and you go run a job where you've injected those parameters. So it's a sort of automated way to configure a bunch of jobs to run in parallel to solve a problem in parallel. And they also reached 1.0 this April. And as part of that effort, they actually improved a lot of our tools. So they made changes to MB Convert, for example, to improve that for the community. So look ahead. Continued active development. Now this is a goal, Jupyter Lab 2.0 with real-time collaboration. We're actively working on it. We hope to have that roughly by the end of the year. Again, this is a goal. Don't quote us on this. I mentioned that the server workshop, refactoring the Jupyter server because we have larger tenants that are using it besides this classic notebook, excuse me, of which you may have seen the Voila talk earlier. Jupyter Enterprise Gateway is using the Jupyter server or a variant thereof, and Jupyter Lab itself is also using that same server. So we're taking a step back, redesigning it to better serve those multiple users. The governance refactor, we're actively working on that, soliciting your input, and community workshops are ongoing. And so generally, we're just excited to see what else y'all bring. Thank you.
So our next speaker, following the theme of Jupyter, is John Detlef, telling us about Interact.
Hello, everybody. If I'd known I was going to be speaking to a ballroom, I probably wouldn't have said yes to this. So I'm here as a contributor to Interact to represent what we've been doing for the past year. Interact is an organization that provides computational tools for data investigation. We started out with a desktop app, and then from there we have released a variety of other packages and work, and I want to talk about that. So I just want to go, like, why do we share tools? This is really important about, like, why do we talk about having multiple open source projects. This is a non-zero-sum game. Stephen was just saying earlier, we managed to help some other work by releasing a package, and I was just going to say that this is all a collaborative effort, and we are definitely a part of the Jupyter community and love working with everyone. So I just wanted to show a picture of the original IPython notebook. And I just love showing this all the time because it's just amazing how far we've come. And it's all as a result of spending a lot of time and effort improving the UIs and the resources we have around that. So at Interact, our goal is to create a fantastic interactive computing experience that allows people to collaborate with ease. And all of the packages that we've been working on have been designed for that goal. So this is just a picture of our desktop app. It's an Electron app. It was created in 2016. And after that, we have another tool called Hydrogen, which integrates with your Atom editor to allow you to execute your Jupyter notebooks, or like your interact with the kernel in your editor. So I just wanted to talk more about Paper Mill. This is a CLI-driven tool that allows you to parameterize and execute your notebooks So you can run batch jobs, machine learning models, use your notebooks as your model that you're trying to see, like, vary parameters on at the first cell. We have Commuter, which is a tool to share your notebooks and upload them to S3. We have Ion, which is a UI toolkit. We have Play, which is just a web environment to let you interact with a kernel spun up by Binder. We have Interact on Jupyter, which is an extension that you can install on your app. We have Create Interact App, which is like Create React App, but it starts you off with all of the components necessary to create your own dashboard or other sort of environment for your Jupyter front end. We just released Bookstore, which is another publishing and sharing tool. And we also released, we brought in Semiotic, which is a data visualization tool that is very useful for the Data Explorer tool that we have. This is an example of what you get from creating it. Are we done? Okay. If you're interested, speak with us after. You can follow us on Twitter at Interact.io. Thank you very much.
And next we have Corin Webster to tell us about MyAVI.
Thank you, everyone. I am a ringer. I'm standing in for Prabhu Ramachandran, who is the main core developer of MyAVI. So he's the person who's prepared the slides and knows what's going on with the project. For those who haven't found or experienced MyAVI before, it's sort of three things. It's a 3D visualization tool. It's designed to be used in the traditional interactive way that you might use something like Matplotlib, but producing 3D plots. But it's also a full-blown 3D visualization graphical user application. So you can load in files, visualize them in various ways, and it's got full NumPy and Python integration. There's a Python prompt in there that you can work with and so forth. So it's a full-blown application, and it's also a 3D visualization toolkit for building applications, custom applications. So this sits on top of Enthort's Traits and Traits UI framework for rapid application development, so you can easily hook up GUIs that drive your 3D visualizations. So MyAVI has been around for nearly 15 years now. It's a mature, stable application. It's highly scriptable. It's designed from the ground up to be scriptable. You can record macros of what you're doing. It produces Python scripts. It's integrated completely with NumPy. It sits on top of VTK for the 3D visualizations. And it's got a rich command line interface for doing various things. And as of recently, it is pip installable. You can say pip install MyAVI, and you get MyAVI on your system. I know Prabhu has been working hard on this over the last year or so, particularly for, in these recent updates, getting VTK packaged in wheels so that it can be installed cross-platform without having to have a C compiler or anything like that. In terms of recent updates to the application, MyAVI 4.6.2 basically updates to VTK, allowing more features of the more recent versions to be used, and adding some extra support to the MyAVI pipeline. The big improvement in MyAVI 4.7 is it now has full Jupyter Notebook support using the SciPy backend of MyAVI. No WebGL required, fully interactive. It can hook up with SciPy widgets, and it can run both in notebooks and Jupyter Lab. And so, this is what it looks like. Sits in the browser just exactly the way that you'd hope that it would. Future plans, nothing sort of concrete which is being worked on other than fixing issues as they come up with the application, improvements and cleanup as we come along. We'd like to get a bit more interaction with the IPython widgets, and bug fixes as are needed. So thank you.
And next we have James Bednar to tell us about the state of PyViz and HoloViews.
Hello. So I'm talking about PyViz and HoloViz. Used to be so last year in this meeting we introduced PyViz. This year we're introducing PyViz having split into two things, so I'll explain that. So first off, PyViz, it used to be kind of our playground, but what it has become is an open, nonpartisan guide to all Viz libraries in Python. It does not tell you to use our libraries or any particular libraries. It shows you the full status of all available libraries. If you see one missing, please put a pull request, make sure it's covered in there. It'll show you whether it's a dormant project, which is very valuable information. It'll show you the current version, how popular each one is, and so on. So and plus a lot of different overviews of articles that various people have written that try to tell you how to choose a library. It doesn't have any opinion on it. If you see another overview, you can put that in there as well. So just if anyone wants to do Viz in Python, if anyone is crazy enough to do that, start out at pyviz.org. Meanwhile, holoviz.org is our opinionated site, consisting of the things that the people that I work with are focusing on. And we're focusing on these 7 libraries down here. We have others as well, but these are the main user contexts. So anything that uses HoloViews or GViews or Data Shader, that's a HoloViz project. Holo just means whole, complete, and entire. And the whole idea is that these are a set of libraries designed to shepherd you along every path along use of data and analysis to delivering something. So most Viz libraries focus on individual ones, and it's up to you to figure out how everything adds up. These are trying to fill in the gaps, make everything work start to finish. So, in terms of making everything work start to finish, our newest library fills in a big gap that was at the end, which is having a notebook and having something great. How do you make an impact with it? How do you share it? How do you deliver it? How do you influence people, make your work have an impact on somebody? It's trying to be an easy Pythonic API to turn what already works in your notebook to something deployable without Jupyter. So it's similar to the Voila package in some ways. Voila is tied to the Jupyter ecosystem. Panel supports Jupyter, but is also completely independent. So you can write a pure bare Python file and deploy it with a separate server without bringing in any Jupyter components. But it also works beautifully inside of Jupyter. It's also designed to support all sorts of different libraries, Viz libraries. The other semi-new thing that existed last year is hvplot. It's basically pandas.plot, but for all sorts of libraries other than pandas, including Xarray, Dask, Intake, various other libraries. So number one, it also provides a bokeh-based plot that has all sorts of exciting things. Go to holoviz.org to see what those exciting things are that you can do with what you got back, so that it's not a dead end. Trivial thing for us, but many people seem to care about it. If you have a categorical plot and you need more than 20 or 30 categories, you can have all the ones you want. Go to colorset.pyviz.org. So what we're working on is better integration with panel and IPy widgets. We've already got one direction working. The other direction will be soon. Better docs trying to show how to deploy in various public and private contexts. Various things that Data Shader can do. And a geostatistical toolbox for Data Shader. Thank you.
And our next speaker is Julie Signell, telling us about Boka.
So I'm here representing Boka. A lot of the core developer on that is Brian Vandeven. He couldn't be here today, but Boka is an interactive visualization library for Python where you can get widgets and tools. You can do versatile high-level graphics. It does well with streaming and large data, and it works in the browser, but it doesn't require you to write any JavaScript. We released 1.0 this year and also 1.1. Which is kind of the real 1.0. It now has, the most noteworthy thing is we totally revamped layouts. This was a long time coming, and it allows a lot of really important things like fixed aspects, which is important for a lot of geo contexts, but it also made this Boka server, which is like the shiny for Python. And so here's an example of a layout. They can be responsive. And it's just a simpler layout system. So if you haven't checked out Boka in the last year, we recommend that you do so. You can create dashboards and apps, and it should be pretty straightforward. What's coming up in 2.0? It's landing in August, probably. It's mostly removing a bunch of stuff that isn't in use. We're also dropping Python 2 support. And it's an upgrade to Tornado. So it's mostly a cleaning house. And then what's new right now in the community, I just wanted to highlight some of our GitHub stats. It's used by a ton of different packages. It recently hit 10K stars, which stars are a weird metric, but there they are. And it's supported by NumFocus. And there's recently been a documentation revamp, so there's new docs, and there's a discourse page for a discussion and for interacting with the community. So you should check us out there. The docs are moving to read the docs. They're available right now at boka.org, but in the future they're going to be in a more standardized format, which should make them more discoverable. There's also a fundraiser going on right now. If you go to boka.org, you can check it out. That's the Boka update.
And our final speaker is Hannah Eisenman telling us about Matplotlib.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, short. This thing does not like me. So Matplotlib, we had 8 releases this year. 1 major one, 2 minor ones, 5 patch releases. The schedule, actually, feature highlights. We do scatter legends better now. So, you know, you got bubble plots, you want to tell us size, you want to tell us color, you want to tell us all the things. We'll take care of it. Better date formatting. We now, especially if you've got a Mac, we've improved the backend so it'll auto-select, so you hopefully won't get weird errors anymore. Better color maps, and no more Python 2. Next feature release is 3.2. We're hoping to fix up error bars. It'll be sometime in September. And then the next long-term release is we're going to try to end of life 2.2 unless one of you steps up to maintain it. MyAVI MPL, it's an IP widget backend designed by Sylvan. It works in Jupyter Lab. You get all the pretty animated interactive dashboardy stuff. Oh, MPL Cairo. So this is we're trying to work this in as possibly a new backend, maybe even a default. You get improved left to right, scripts, better markers, colors, emojis, right? We all want that. And if you're doing 3D plots, you get much tighter, sharper lines. Or not 3D, these kind of surfaces. We have, stuff doesn't show up. The slides aren't updated. Give me a, okay, great, this is our slide. We have a whole ecosystem of third-party packages built on Matplotlib. These are just a couple that we pulled up from our third-party package page. Mapping, stats, engineering reports, scales, all the things, so come check it out or build your own on top of us. And we want to thank, last minute, we want to thank our contributors. How do I, wait, 2,500 contributors in the last year. Contributions, 167 contributors. These are a few of them. Especially want to thank Matthias's Me6 machine, which is the only reason things get backported.